Hi, welcome to SecPod's SanerNow product demonstration. In this demo, we're going to talk about how IT security teams globally use SanerNow cyber-hygiene platform as a unified solution for end-to-end vulnerability management that has integrated remediation to eliminate attack surface rapidly and attain security posture compliance continuously. So let's deep dive in. So one of the top questions that we get, what makes SanerNow unique and different than all the other solutions that are available there? So on a fundamental level, SanerNow is designed to prevent cyber attacks by building a strong defense that has automation and continuity built into DNA of this technology. So we have a cloud-based version, which is what we're going to use in this product demo. Then we also have an on-premise version that can be hosted on a local cloud or a server, a physical server or a cloud server within customer's premise. This platform, SanerNow, supports 30 plus versions of Windows, Linux, and macOS families, along with the 400 third-party applications, right? And then the solution works for workstations, servers, virtual machines on Azure, GCP, AWS, or any other public cloud. And then it also works for network devices such as switches, routers, monitors, any other IP devices connected to the network. So that's on a very high level. What makes this technology very different is it brings visibility, detection, prioritization, and remediation all on a single console, making it utterly simple for IT security teams to take immediate actions on the risk that they are discovering on their devices and quickly remediating the attack surface that they want to, right, in order to keep cyber attacks away. So let's dive deep into the product. So I'll start with the technical overview of the solution. So what you see here on my screen is a very high-level dashboard. We call it the unified dashboard that gives you, as an admin, perspective from 4 angles. One is visibility into your IT infrastructure. So what are all the devices in your network? What are they doing? How are they behaving? And a lot more information on what are the operating systems, a software hardware component, what are the software hardware components of your IT, right? Along with that, in the visibility layer, what you also get is a cyber hygiene score that on a scale of 0 to 100 gives you an understanding of how good are the efforts that you have invested as IT security team into building the defense against attacks. Then next is detection of the risk. Now while you plan to detect risk on your devices, SanerNow just not gives you a view of what are the software vulnerabilities on your devices, but you also get information on what are the misconfigurations, then posture anomalies. This is something new and innovative that SecPod has implemented, and we're going to talk in deep when we go to that technology. And then in the detection layer, you also get to know what are the missing patches on your systems. So having detected all of that risk, the technology then also helps you prioritize that risk based on what action is required, whether you need to act immediately or just attend to the risk that was identified, or whether you want to just track or track with conditions, right? So there's a framework, CSAS framework, SSVC model that we have implemented, and SecPod is the first vendor to implement that framework into risk prioritization. Then finally, the solution also helps you remediate and not just recommendations, not just providing you the recommendations to remediate, but actually providing you the tools to go ahead and remediate the risk that you have detected using SanerNow. So this as a unified dashboard gives you an overall perspective of what goes on in your infrastructure, what is required, what actions have you taken, and then the impact of those actions. And it gives you on a daily basis a refreshed version because on the back end, SecPod's team keeps updating the vulnerability information and all the other patches, patching or fixing information on a daily basis. And as you know, there are 30 to 40 new vulnerabilities reported every day to public domain. So what you get as an IT security team is a refreshed perspective of your IT and security on a daily basis. Well, followed by the unified dashboard, this technology is a multi-tenant technology. So if you have multiple tenants, whether you are you're handling a large enterprise IT network or you have a MSSP business, right? This technology helps you manage multiple tenants on one single login. So it's a multi-tenant product. Then jumping into some of the core capabilities of the platform. So you can followed by multi-tenant architecture. You get to add as many users, admin users that you want added, and give them respective privileges, right? And while doing that, you can select what are the privileges they must have, whether give them complete access or provide them a custom privilege, right? And then there is a role management as well. You can manage what role is the user supposed to have, right? So there's no limit on number of users. You could add as many users. Next is discovery of devices. So there are multiple ways. One is you could use a network scanner to discover devices, and that is also quite easy in case of SanerNow. All you got to do is just have one of the agents, the endpoint agents that you install on an endpoint device, convert it into a network scanner, and you would be able to go ahead and use that use that agent as a network scanner, which would help you discover all the devices connected to the network, right? That's one way. Another way is to sync up if you already have your device and organization units organized on your AD. SanerNow can pull that from your AD and manage accordingly. Another way to import is to import a list of devices via a CSV and get them added onto the platform. Once you've added the list of devices, discovered the devices that you want to manage on the platform, next step is to go ahead and deploy the agents on them. And today, all of these versions of operating systems are supported by SanerNow. And you would have the downloadable files of the agents with respect to the operating system of the machine that you want to manage. And this agent can be deployed in multiple ways also. The easiest you can do is select the agent that you want to distribute to devices or users, and download it or share a download link to them, which is very unique to their setup. Or you could just take the offline deployer tool, use the offline deploy tool, and deploy it through command line protocol, right? Which is where you get all of these instructions to go ahead and deploy the agents. Once agents are deployed, you will be able to see that on the devices page, which we will come to shortly. All of the agents that you install on your devices, they have settings that can be customized. So you would be able to go ahead and customize those settings, whether you want to customize the scan, the bandwidth that the agents take while they scan. You would be able to throttle that. You can even put a limit to the CPU utilization if you want that to be done. You can choose whether the agents must scan for vulnerability or also for compliance. Right, and then if you want to schedule the daily scan, remember SanerNow advises daily scan on your devices, and this is a lightweight scan. It takes hardly 5 minutes on a Windows machine, 3 minutes on a Linux and Mac machine, right? And you can schedule when should the scan happen, which is when you get refreshed information from your devices. Then you can provision what must happen from remediation if you want to use SanerNow's repository, or whether you have your own local repository. You can do that. You can even buffer patches if you would like to also control the bandwidth based on the network capabilities that the devices have access to. So there are these all of these settings. It can be customized, and you could create agent profiles, agent groups that follow these settings, and these settings can be customized based for each group of agent. After that, coming to network scanning, SecPod has a innovative way of configuring network scans. So you don't need a separate network scanning appliance to run these scans. Any endpoint agents that you would have installed on your devices, you would be able to convert them into a network scanner, which is pretty easy to do. All you have to do is select the device that you want to behave as a network scanner and convert that into a network scanner. Once you do that, you would have to give it a scan configuration, which is where you select what are the target IPs that the network scanner should look at. If you want to exclude any list of IPs, you could do so. And since we do a port-based scan, you would be able to select what ports should the network scanner probe. Right, and you can also automate or set a schedule to these network scans. If you want to run them to run on a frequency, you would be able to provision that here. So SanerNow endpoint agent converted as a network scanner can do both a port-based scan as well as an authenticated scan, which is where you would have to provision the credentials that it needs to run those credential scans. Right. So that's network scanner. Then again, coming to, so we have the platform also has a posture anomaly scanner that you can provision similar to a network scanner, and this keeps on running and tries to find the anomalies in the ID posture. There's a risk prioritization scanner, which works quite similar. And what this scanner does is looks for the probes that it needs, or the data that it needs to prioritize risk for you. Then there are other capabilities. If there's a SSO, single sign-on authentication capability, if you have a single sign-on implemented within your infrastructure, SanerNow can be made part of that single sign-on policy. If you want to enforce multi-factor authentication on your users, you would be able to configure that as well. Right, that's a high-level view of the platform. Now let's jump into one of the tenants where we have a few devices already activated. So this again is an overview of the tenant. Like you have a high-level overview of the organization, the entire organization, you would have this view also for each of the tenants. Those are the part of the organization that you're managing. And this unified dashboard again gives you the perspectives from visibility, detection of risk, prioritization, and then remediation. Okay, since we in the platform overview we saw capabilities to install agents, let's go to devices and see the agents that we have installed, what's happening for them. So here you would be able to see the devices, their information, when were they last scanned, whether the device is managed by an agent that is installed on the device, or if you have configured one of the agents as a network scanner, and that if other devices are scanned by the network scanner, you would see this network scanner symbol here. These devices you will be able to manage or group in as you wish, whether you want to group them the type by their type, by their function, right, or their operating system, or the family of the operating system, right? So all you have to do is drag and drop and group them accordingly. Another way to set up groups is clicking here and setting up a group policy, where you will be able to use these filters to create the criteria that must be followed for a device to become part of the group automatically. Once you set up this automation, all of the devices that follow that criteria would be automatically grouped into that in that group, and any new devices that gets added to the platform would follow that criteria by default. So the scans happen on a daily basis on the time that you provision. Though if you want to scan any device anytime, you would be able to go ahead and select and hit the scan button here, and it would be scanned when you want it. So you could also do on-demand scans, and any device if you want to add, you can just click on the add button here and then follow those three methods, whether it's scanning using a network scanner, or adding through a Active Directory, or manually you would be able to add devices to this respective site. Agent deployment, you can click here and get to the agent files that you can install on the devices. So device management and grouping can be done going to devices screen here, and the platform supports on-demand scans as well as automated grouping. So it makes making it easier for you to group devices and manage them as you want. Going back to the unified dashboard, SanerNow is an end-to-end vulnerability management solution. Right, and since it gives all of these the 4 perspectives to you as an IT security admin, by going to this app launcher, you would be able to see what all applications are available or provisioned as part of your setup. So there are 7 applications today on the platform, and you would be able to provision whatever applications you want based on the use cases that you want, that you're solving for. Let's say if you only want visibility and normalization, you can go ahead and provision asset exposure and posture anomaly. If you want only detection of risk, then vulnerability assessment, vulnerability management, compliance management modules. If you want to prioritize risk, then there's prioritization, and for remediation, there is patch management and endpoint management. And if you want the end-to-end program implemented, then you would be able to go ahead and provision all of the tools. Each of these tools have their own dashboards, which gives you perspective of what you're looking for based on that tool's capability. Right. So let's jump into each of these dashboards and take a quick look at what can be found on these tools. So I'm in the asset exposure tool, and I'm looking at site X within this tenant, right? And so this dashboard, asset exposure dashboard, gives me a good perspective or good view of what's the software hardware components of this exact site, right? Where you get to know based on the operating system, based on the type of devices, based on the manufacturer of the devices, what are the distributions or counts of devices that were found or discovered in your environment, and then more details on each device. What are the applications based on their publisher and all of that information. This is standard license management capability. If you would like to go ahead and manage licenses of these applications or operating systems to be used in a specific manner, you can go ahead and provision that accordingly, and Saner agents follow that protocol to go ahead and keep auditing that for you. And you have information on outdated applications. If there are any applications that you have blacklisted still being accessed by your machines or users, you would be able to look at that information, as well as any rarely used applications if there are any. So this quick dashboard gives you perspective from an asset monitoring point of view, right? And all of this information that you see here can be exported into a CSV for further analysis, or if you would like to see more information at a device level, you can click on any of these devices and go into individual view of the device. So let's look at one of these devices. So there's all of this information available on a device level. What are the details of the device? We have a live connection between the agent and the console, so you would be able to pull a live feed of the usage of the device, and then what assets are installed or active on the machine. That includes all the applications, all the other devices connected to that respective device. What are the services running, all the processes running, and the ports that are communicating on the device. Then you would also have information if there are any anomalies on the device, posture anomalies, right, related to the posture of the machine. Then list of all the vulnerabilities, software vulnerabilities on that device, or if there are any misconfigurations based on the policy that you have configured to be followed by the machine. And then also the patches that are installed, or any missing patches, missing non-security patches, or any firmware patches, firmware updates that are required by the machine. Right. Going back to the asset exposure dashboard. So this dashboard gives you a perspective of software, hardware composition of your IT. Jumping onto the next tool in visibility and normalization layer, the posture anomaly. This tool gives you a perspective of if there are any anomalies detected on your devices based on the behavior of the device or the user, right, in the network, and that anomaly detection is done keeping all of these perspectives in mind, right? Processes, devices, network system, users, services, assets, and also system security. So what you get as an information using this tool is a perspective of if there are any outliers or any rules that are bended, or any abnormal behavior of your users and devices based on the standard configuration that you want them to follow. Right, so this dashboard has a lot of information on information to help you get a perspective of how abnormal or normal is your IT infrastructure, so you can take actions to make it known good, right? So as part of this technology, you get a distribution of what are considered to be anomalies, and also along with that, what's the density of those anomalies based on the device distribution in your network. Then a radar that shows you what risk is more prominent based on the anomaly detection algorithms of SanerNow. And then you can also jump into details of these anomalies, where you get this kind of a dashboard where there are more than 75 checks that are performed on all of your devices, and gives you distribution of what are called the abnormalities, right? So you can go ahead and check each of these, and if you find anything to be normal in your IT, in your network, you would be able to go ahead and whitelist them, so it doesn't show up as an abnormality on next scans, right? Once you do that, what happens is your IT is you have deeper visibility into what's going on in your devices, and what shouldn't be happening. So you can configure all of that, right? And whether you want to configure a custom anomaly detection, you would be able to do that as well. Create your own custom detections. If you would like to whitelist any of the findings so it doesn't show up as an abnormal finding, you would be able to do that as well. And along with that, if you still want to go ahead and detect and respond to any of the custom detection, you can use this drag and drop rule builder to create your own detections as well as the responses to those detections, right? So that's posture anomaly management, and it gives you control over all the abnormal behavior of devices in your IT, and make sure they are not deviating from the rules that you want them to follow from a behavior perspective. Then coming to the detection layer, you would have vulnerability management dashboard. Here where you would be able to jump into details of what are the software vulnerabilities found on your systems and give a detailed view of all the software vulnerabilities on this dashboard. This dashboard is also refreshed daily based on the scans that are performed by the agents, and you would be able to see the distribution of all the vulnerabilities, detailed information about all of those vulnerabilities, distribution of those vulnerabilities by operating system, group of vulnerabilities, group of devices, the release date of the or vulnerability age, right, and then recommendations based on what's to be done for those vulnerabilities, right. So this dashboard gives you a complete picture of the vulnerabilities, their exploitability, how exploitable is a vulnerability based on the proprietary algorithms that we have invented in SecPod. And what we also do is, if there are any publicly known malware exploits that are known to exploit the vulnerabilities found on your systems, you would have access to that information as well. You would be able to go to this screen and get a list of all the vulnerabilities that are found on your machines. And if you would like to take an action, you can take it from here, whether you want to exclude that vulnerability based on a reason that you want to select, or if you want to remediate that vulnerability, you would be able to go ahead and remediate using the integrated patch management and integrated endpoint management capabilities of SanerNow. So that's vulnerability management, and the backend content repository that SanerNow uses is SecPod's proprietary and homegrown SCAP compliant vulnerability feeds that has more than 160,000, actually 175,000 and more vulnerability checks that gives you this detailed perspective. And that the content repository, the security content repository that we build ourselves and manage ourselves, is updated on a daily basis. So the perspective that you get from a vulnerability management perspective is vulnerability management is a daily look at your vulnerabilities. Next in the detection layer is the compliance management tool. Now this tool is designed to help you get a perspective of the device compliance based on the rules that you have configured onto the agents, right? So we do have these benchmark templates that you can configure yourself. The SecPod general compliance covers all of the compliance regulations, compliance rules that you would want, that you would need in order to create your own custom policy, or if you want to create a benchmark based on a known regulatory compliance such as NIST, HIPAA, or PCI, or any other regulatory standard. We do have these ready-made templates, or you can customize any of these master templates to create a subset of your own on your own. Once you create these benchmarks and implement them on the group of devices that are supposed to follow that benchmark, on the next scans, agents would update this dashboard for you, giving you a perspective of what is the compliance level of your IT, based on the frameworks or the benchmarks that you have enforced onto the agents. So you would get a detailed information about what are the misconfigurations based on the policies that you have configured, and what's to be done for those misconfigurations. In addition to that, SecPod as a vendor follows a philosophy of not just helping clients find what the problems are in their IT network, but also provide solutions. So as part of that philosophy, what we also provide are the fixes to those misconfigurations, where you get detailed information about what are those fixes, what machines need them, and then what you can do is easily go ahead, and if you want to harden your systems for this policy, you would be able to select these and then go ahead and create a task, hardening task. Right? You can even automate this auditing and hardening. So if you want any deviations to be automatically fixed, you would be able to set up automation rules using this capability, following which SanerNow would go ahead and enforce those misconfiguration fixes in order to implement compliance that you want. So this takes care of the compliance from a regulatory standard perspective, or if you want a custom policy of your own implemented, hence helping you continuously comply to whether it's CIS or NIST or HIPAA, PCI, ISO, or any other custom policy that you want your systems to follow. Then risk prioritization takes in all the information from vulnerability management and compliance management and all the other tools to provide you with this perspective, where it catalogs all those risks into a framework designed by CISA, which is called the SSVC model, to prioritize risk. Right, a stakeholder specific vulnerability categorization model by Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. So this tool gives you presents this dashboard, such a dashboard where you would be able to analyze among all the vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, which are the ones that needs immediate action or just needs immediate attention, requires attention from your internal supervisory level individuals, or and among those vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, which are the ones that you must track considering specific characteristics, and which are the ones that needs continuous tracking. May not need an action, though you must be tracking them. And you would be able to see if there are any risks that are exploitable, highly exploitable, automatable, and other information based on what's needed for you to rapidly go ahead and remediate or take appropriate actions on those. you would be able to jump into details of the risk based on what is prioritized. You would be able to use these filters and just look at those that you want to look at, right? And also understanding what is the exploitability, automatability, or the technical impact of those vulnerabilities on your infrastructure. Then in addition to that, what you also get is a framework mapping based on MITRE attack framework. So if any of those risks can be exploited, you would be able to go ahead and analyze that information as well. And then if you would like to configure how the prioritization must happen, you would be able to go ahead and customize that based on the policy that you have and that you want to be followed. So this is a quick way to create your own prioritization policy here, configure your own policy here. So that's risk prioritization that takes in all the information from vulnerability and compliance management and helps you prioritize those risks based on the action that is needed for those risks. Now, in order to remediate, SecPod SanerNow provides two tools. One is patch management and another is endpoint management. Patch management dashboard would give you a perspective of what are the patches required by the vulnerabilities or vulnerabilities that were found on your systems. So like you see on this dashboard already has that information because vulnerability management would have done a vulnerability scanning. So unlike any other patch management tool, SanerNow is a smart patch management tool that is integrated with a vulnerability scanner, that has an integrated vulnerability scanner, and already knows what vulnerabilities need what patches on what devices, right? So this dashboard gives you a view of what is your patch compliance, and then what are the patches required by your machines, and hence also the impact of those patches on your security, whether it's security or productivity of your machines. Going to missing patches, you would be able to see all the patches that are required by your machines, whether it's a security patch or a non-security patch. You would see a list of patches that are required by your machines, and you would be able to filter this information based on what you want to look at, right? So you can use these filters to go ahead and create your own custom view, right? Now implementing these patches are also easy. All you got to do is select the patches that you want to install on those devices, on the group of devices that you want to install them, and go ahead and select the patches select the patches that you want to be implemented and create a patching job, which is where you would be able to control when should these patches be implemented. If the device is online, these patches can be rolled out immediately. If it is offline, you can schedule a task, and whenever the device comes online, those patches would be implemented. You can select whether the devices should reboot or not after the patching activity. If there's a remediation window that you want to allocate, you would be able to go ahead and create a patching window. In case you are trying to patch in a limited time window, you would be able to go ahead and schedule that. If these are end user machines that you're patching, you'd be able to go ahead and give notifications to the users before and after patching. If there are any remediation scripts that you want to execute, you would be able to create, upload them here and execute them along with the patching notification. all of the patches that you see on the screen behind would have already been tested in SecPod lab systems. Though if you want to go ahead and test those patches on a bunch of test machines, you can create a group of machines, call them a test group, and then create a criteria, success criteria of these for this patching. And only if only the test is successful, the patches would then be rolled out to all the other machines in the group that you have selected. Right? If you want to automate these patching tasks, you can set up automation rules here for the products that you want patches to be automated for. And setting up an automation rule is quite simple as well, where you can select whether you want to automate specific patches with a specific risk or all together. You can also select whether you want to automate only patches, security patches, or all type of patches. And if you want all your future assets and newly added devices to be also added into this automation. So you can set up these automations on a weekly, monthly, or a daily schedule, or after a schedule scan, right, and give it a schedule that you prefer, and use these controls to further refine the automation based on what you prefer. Once set up, all of the tasks, whether it's a manual task that you created or an automated task, you would be able to see the status of all your tasks on this status window here. Now let's say if you have implemented a patch, but for whatsoever reason you want to roll it back, SanerNow gives you easy access to roll those patches back. In addition to software patches, SanerNow also supports firmware upgrade. If there are any drivers or firmware on your devices that needs updates, SanerNow does provide you that as well. There's a separate screen for critical patches. So if there are any high fidelity vulnerabilities that have high fidelity attacks associated with them, and if they have a patch available, you would see them listed on the most critical patches in order to prioritize your patching activity for all the critical patches. Right, and for whatsoever reason, if you want to exclude any patches from being implemented, you can also exclude them with an explanation why are you excluding them, and then those patches would disappear from all your administrators' screens, and only the super administrator would have access to go ahead and roll them out. So this technology, the SecPod's patch management technology, gives IT security teams a streamlined a way of managing patches and achieving patch compliance quickly based on your policies, internal policies. Another tool in the remediation layer is endpoint management. That gives you 100 plus checks and controls to go ahead and implement or use and implement those controls for security control monitoring, remediation beyond the patching, right? Endpoint device, if you want to get overview of your devices, or if you want to set a predefined detection and response checks and controls, right? Those are part of this tool. So there are so how this tool helps IT teams is with its checks and actions, you can pretty much look into any information on your devices and get quick access to that information using these tools. Starting off with a simple system health check. If you want to do that, you would be able to do a quick system health check of all your devices in the network. If you wish to do a sanity check or an audit of your antivirus, if you have antivirus installed on your devices, you would be able to do a quick audit of that as well, and use any of these checks to quickly get information that you seek. As an example, if you want to let's say check what are the services that are running on your machines, you can click on the running services check and then get that information handy. If you wish to perform any actions, there are these quick actions that you can perform and achieve or implement the changes that you wish to make on your devices. All of these checks are available for Windows, Linux, Mac machines, and for all of these processes. Moving on to actions. There are actions for application device control. If you want to make any changes to or block or unblock or disable or enable devices, right? All of these changes can be made. If you wish to tune up your machines, you can do that as well, right? Clean up whatever you want to. If you wish to deploy software at scale to all of your devices, SanerNow provides software inventory management as part of its endpoint management capability, where we have these updated packages that you can push to your machines, or if you wish to upload your own custom package, we do have a upload capability that you can use to upload your own files in these formats. And whether it's a zip file or a exe or MSI package, you would be able to upload them here and push them to machines, your machines, silently. Well, if you want to provision a bunch of these software to be automatically installed on new devices, you can provision that as well. Or if you want to uninstall any software, the technology also provides uninstallation capability. Going back to actions, what you can also do with this tool is make any registry modifications, service modifications, network modifications, or let's say if you want to make any changes to startup programs. So there are 100+ checks and controls that give you more control on your endpoint devices beyond patching. So that gives you additional controls for remediation, such as if you want to upload any scripts or run any scripts on your devices, you would be able to use these checks and actions to perform that remediation. So that's a quick overview of all the tools. And now beyond that, SanerNow also provides you capabilities to set up alerts if you want any alerts to be sent to your emails, or you want them in Slack, or as a ticket in your ITSM tools. You would be able to use the alerting capability to get alerts, whether they are vulnerability alerts or patching alerts or any prioritized risks that needs action, or if there anybody tries to tamper with the agents. So you can set up all of these alerts accordingly. Along with alerts, SanerNow has a diverse and very comprehensive reporting, so which is where you would be able to use these canned reports or pre-built reports to get that perspective of what's happening on your devices. So there are reports for vulnerability, there is a compliance report, There is a risk assessment report. There is a prioritization report. You would have also a patch impact report, right? And you would also have a report on what are the patching activities that have happened so far. Now these are all the pre-built reports, though if you want to create your own report, you can go to this dashboard and get a custom report built, which is where you can use all of these tables and figures, all of these reports available here on the left hand menu, and with a single drag and drop or a click, you would be able to build your own report. Right now you would be able to and you can filter these reports as you wish. You can filter them based on the device groups that you want, or if you wish to make changes to these tables, what shows on those tables. These reports are quite configurable. You would be able to save these reports if you want to, let's say, use this as a custom dashboard for yourself, or if you want to download it as a PDF and share with somebody, you can download it as a PDF. You can email it to them, or if you, let's say, want to set up a frequent report. Let's say if you want this report to be sent to your email or somebody else's email on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you would be able to save these reports or create a backup of the report to be sent to email based on the frequency or the time that you prefer. So these are reports. These reports give you visibility on the information of this exact site. Though if you want to look at an overall report of the entire group, entire setup, you can go to the main dashboard, the organization dashboard, and click on the reports here, which is where you would be able to see reports at an organization level. So an organization risk report, or if you wish to look at risk prioritization or versus risk assessment, or if you wish to see a report based on the patch impact of the patches that are needed by your machines in that exact organization. With that, I think I've covered entire capability of the tool. So as a wrap and a summary, SanerNow is an integrated end-to-end vulnerability management solution that brings visibility, detection, risk prioritization, and remediation together on a single console, providing IT security teams access to tools that they need to provision all of the activities for cyber attack prevention through defense, building a defense for that. And SanerNow as a platform has multiple tools for visibility, detection, prioritization, and remediation. Those can be provisioned based on the use cases that IT security teams are solving for. With that, thank you. Thanks for your time to go through this product demonstration with me. And as an action, we do have a free trial of the product that you can request, whether through our website www.secpod.com, right, and test these capabilities yourself. Thank you.